welcome back to the workshop. It's awesome to have you back here in the workshop with, my phone. I always forget something. Welcome back to the workshop, folks. It's awesome to have you back here. And I have got so many updates for you today. So we're doing a Notes from a Small Workshop February 2019 edition. And it's nearly March. That's the scary thing. There's this air of like spring in the air, and I'm getting quite excited that it's not freezing cold anymore. Touch wood, we're not quite out the woods yet. The thing is, in the UK, I know we like talking about our weather, and when you live in a country of mediocre weather, you get quite excited when you get extremes, and you also get quite excited when it's not cold anymore, because sometimes it is just a bit like living in Tupperware in the UK. Can't remember who coined that phrase. Who was it? Who did Notes from a Small Island and all that? Obviously it's not Richard Branson. Bill Bryson coined that phrase, I think. So I'll start with the bad news. I still haven't started on my cyclone thing. In fact, cyclone's still here. My dust collection network thing, box of pipes, is still in the box. I seriously hope there's nothing wrong with it, because I must have had it sitting there boxed up for 6 months now. Sometimes life gets in the road. But I've got loads and loads of other updates for you. So in this video, Measuring Up podcast update. Make us Central. We're talking about a Teespring 20% discount. I've been making a QB thing. I've moved studio rooms. I'm chatting a bit about remote sockets. I bought these awesome magnetic tool holders. I'll give you a quick update on the table saw safety video. Gonna give you an update on some of the polls that I've been running. Of course, we're gonna do a mailbag, and we're gonna have a very quick chat about the gorgeous FC Hybrid guide rail square. Neatly looping back round to the Measuring Up podcast, we'll have a quick chat about whether or not MDF is going to kill us all. Loads to get through, best crack on. So, top of the list, Measuring Up podcast is back on Monday the 25th of February, and that is the start of season 3, can you believe it, episode 21. If you are not familiar with the Measuring Up podcast, and if you are not familiar with the world of podcasts, think of podcasts like YouTube, but for radio. So if you imagine YouTube has replaced television, podcasts have replaced the radio, or it's certainly going that way. And podcasts are like being able to listen stuff on the radio that you're actually interested in. And there is a show out there covering anything you can possibly... I can't remember how many podcasts there are. For me, podcasts have completely replaced listening to the radio. Anyway, me and Peter have a podcast, the UK's first commercial joinery podcast, where we just chat about wood and what we're making and just life behind the wheel of a one-man joinery business. And it's just two blokes having a bit of a natter, because we can't talk to anyone else about making stuff out of wood, really, because our wives have had it up to here listening our endless drivel about MDF and skirting boards and routers. So the Measuring Up podcast is just a chance for me and Peter, who are normally just stuck in our own little workshop, me up in Newcastle and him down in London. And if you're familiar with working by yourself, you do start to go a little bit mad after a while. I regularly talk to myself, and if I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to the people I'm listening to on podcasts. So it's quite nice for me and Peter to actually talk to each other like human beings do. Not just joinery stuff, all sorts. To listen to a podcast is the easiest thing in the world. If you want to do it the complicated way, go to measuringuppodcast.com and you can listen to the podcast directly off the website. But it's much easier to just download a podcast app onto your phone. There's millions of free ones. There's also slightly better paid for apps if you want to splash out and pay for one. But there's plenty free apps that you can get to play podcasts. Just search for Measuring Up Podcast. Our podcast will pop up and you'll see all of the back episodes, and you can listen all the way from episode 1 and get yourself caught up right up to episode 21. Make us Central 2019. Me and Peter are going. We've got a stand for the podcast, so if you look on the exhibition map, look for Measuring Up Podcast and you'll see where we are. I think off the top of my head it's G25 or something like that. Anyway, you'll find us. and me and Peter will be on that stand for both full days of Maker Central. So if you haven't got tickets yet, make sure you get them. There's a link in the description below to Maker Central. At the moment, as far as I'm aware, there's no Maker Central confirmed for next year yet. So if you haven't been before, then this might be your last chance. Birmingham NEC, 11th and 12th of May. It'll be a great chance to have a proper little natter with some of you guys and gals face to face at the show. And I also plan on doing a very special Test Tuesday, even though it'll be a Saturday or a Sunday. But I'm going to bring my test rig and we're going to test some stuff at the show live. So watch this space. Or that's the plan anyway. For all of my Patreon followers, and even if you're not on Patreon, if you would like an awesome Gosforth Handyman t-shirt or any kind of joinery merch that's over on my Teespring store, you can now get a 20% discount on my Patreon. So if you go onto my Patreon, it'll cost you $1, but it'll save you much more than $1. So it makes sense if you're planning on buying a t-shirt via my Teespring, pop onto my Patreon, spend $1, get the code, buy the t-shirt. If that's all you want to do, you can then cancel the Patreon thing and it's only cost you $1, but it still saved you anyway. The point is, possibly the world's best joinery t-shirts are on my Teespring store, so pop over there once you've got the code off Patreon. In terms of stuff I've been making all sorts of things. One of the things has been another exhibition display unit. If you've been following us on Instagram, Gosforth Handyman on Instagram, you'll be able to find us on there. I do a lot of kind of display gear and commercial stuff like that behind the scenes. And one of the projects that I've been working on recently is this cube display unit. And I thought it would be quite an interesting one to step you through the whole process from beginning to end of the design and some of the decisions that go through my head when I'm making something like this. And it's going to be a 3-part series coming soon on the channel. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed and then you'll get that 3-parter that kind of steps you through the making of one of these commercial display units, if that's of any interest. If you've been following me on Instagram and possibly Twitter, so Gosforth Andy on Twitter, Gosforth Handyman on Instagram, stupid Twitter character limitations or whatever it is. Anyway, you'll have seen that I've swapped studio rooms and now my office studio thing is in a different part of the house. I've swapped rooms with my son and he's now in what was my old studio room. So that has been a mammoth coordination attempt to try and swap this room thing around and try and keep the YouTube channel running in the meantime while having a computer in bits and a room in bits. But it's given us an opportunity to sort out a few things that I've been wanting to sort out for ages. But, oh man, it took forever. I forgot how many holes I drilled in the wall in my old studio room. 75 holes to fill. You would not believe the dust that I had to get this all sorted out. But it's all done. He's got his little man cave now. I'm in a bigger studio room now and it's generally much, much better. But, whew. As a side note to all of that, I did have these remote sockets set up in my room, so that basically I could just switch all my gear, all the recording gear and all that sort of thing, all the studio equipment. So I just switch it on and off from one button because I don't like leaving everything on all the time. And yeah, if you're in the market for remote sockets, don't buy these ones because they're rubbish. And this one broke after a couple of months, and then about another month later, this one broke as well. So the ones I've got in my workshop are absolutely fine, and I haven't had a problem with them, other than I think the contacts on the buttons start wearing out after a while, but I found if I give it a good blowout with the air gun, they seem to be working again. I don't know how long that bodge of a fix is going to work for. But my point is, these ones are rubbish. The ones I've got in my workshop are absolutely fine, and these ones are going in the bin. Can you see this? I've bought some of these magnetic tool hook things, tool holders. These are awesome. Where have these been all my life? I don't know why I didn't even think of it before. So I've got a bunch of these now distributed around the workshop. They seem really powerful. I mean, I wouldn't trust them in the back of a van or something, but on a workshop wall, they are really pretty powerful magnets on them. And it just means I can kind of get more stuff off the benches. And it's always fun just throwing things at them, which is quite exciting. Highly recommend them for any workshop. There's a link in the description below if they're of any interest. Table saw safety video. Okay, I know, hands up, whenever I say I'm going to do a series of videos, I do like a couple and then I lose interest. I promise that's not going to happen this time. It's just, I've written a script, I've had to research quite a lot of stuff because I want this to be right and I want it to last for a long time if possible. I promise I will get it done. It's on my list. I had to get this video done first because of the podcast coming out on Monday. And that neatly leads me on to the series that I started about 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago, about how UK houses are built. And I've got a couple of videos into that and then it just petered off. Again, I've got all these great intentions, but sometimes you just kind of run out of time. From time to time, I run polls on this channel just to get kind of your opinion on a few things that might end up in videos and whatnot. And I thought I'd give you a quick update on some of the polls that I've been running because some of the results are quite interesting. If you're wondering where to take part in these polls, in YouTube, just click on the community tab and you'll see like a whole new bit of YouTube that if you've never been into it, it's like an extra thing. Sometimes just to get a gauge of the lay of the land across different platforms, I sometimes run the same polls on Twitter as well. So if you're not following us on Twitter, make sure you are, because you're missing out on a whole world of extra stuff. Gosforth Andy on Twitter. So I'm going to go in chronological order. So like oldest stuff first. I asked the question ages ago, if you're using pocket hole screws, do you generally also glue the joint? And 70% of you said that you would also use glue in a pocket holed joint, and 30% said that you would just leave the joint dry and only rely on the pocket hole screws. I had a metric imperial debate going on there, and I personally think that we should switch over to kilometres on our roads. Sorry in that, but you know, we need to move with the times. You may or may not be familiar with the fact that kids aren't taught imperial stuff in schools at all these days. My kids have no clue what an inch or a mile or anything like that is. Imperial stuff just isn't taught anymore. I think we just need to move on. Anyway, I ran a poll on the channel to see what you guys thought, and it was exactly split 50-50. Did a very quick poll on who watches this channel, and very interesting results there. 62% of you are keen amateurs, and 30%, quite a lot, quite a high number of you are professional tradespeople watching this channel. So, good stuff. The remaining 10% don't do anything, and they just enjoy watching these sort of videos, which I thought was pretty cool as well, to be honest. And the most recent poll that I ran, which is relevant to the whole starting up the How UK Houses Are Built series again. I asked the question, if you were to buy a new house, or if you were to buy a house at the minute, would you rather buy a new build or an older house? And really interesting results there. 78% of you said you would rather buy an older house than a new build. And the results were pretty much the same on Twitter as well. So that's a whole topic for another day and another video, but that is going to be discussed at length. Be prepared. So remember, if you want to take part in these polls, go to the community tab on YouTube or just follow me, Gosforth Andy, on Twitter. Let's do a quick mailbag. Thank you to everyone who has sent me stuff. You are all amazing and awesome and stuff. This, and it is, check it out. It's an installer drill. So these are quite nifty. Don't know if you can see. It's basically an SDS drill bit, but it's got a little hole in the front and a hole in the back. And you can attach a cable into it. And basically, once you've drilled through a wall, you can go around the other side, pull the whole drill bit through, and pull the cable through with it, which is quite clever, I thought. So thank you very much for sending me that. Very interesting and I'm sure that'll be useful for stuff. What we got here? More hard drives from Lloyd. Lloyd, thank you so much for this. If you're not aware, I get through colossal amounts of hard drives archiving off data. Please only do this if you've got them literally kind of destined for the bin or something like that, because you can probably get good money for these off eBay or something. But thank you so much for this, Lloyd. That's really, really appreciated. And I will get, that's 4 terabytes of storage there, because I'm such a hoarder that I keep every single bit of footage that I've filmed. It's my hoarding issues. We'll discuss that on another video. Rebecca at Uniwipe sent me a bunch of wipes. Whoa! That's a big pack of wipes. So these are huge wipes. 100 huge wipes to be precise. Oh wow, they are huge. They smell, they don't smell like baby wipes, they smell like something else, but cool. Let's have a look. They do quick cleanup, removes grease, paint, silicone, foam and adhesives. Thank you for that, Rebecca at Uniwipe, for sending me these ultra grime huge wipes. Last but not least, I know what this is, and I'm very excited. So if you're not familiar, you will have seen on the channel a while back, I was having a look at the TSO Products Guide Rail Square. What do you think we've got here, ladies and gentlemen? Behold the thing of beauty that is the FC Hybrid Mark V Guide Rail Square. Now, I will be looking at this in a bit more detail on a separate video. I need to have a proper play around with it. I need to use it in anger a bit, but I just wanted to very quickly show you it. So this is from Frank Cochran, who makes these. It's not mass produced or anything like that. It's a really small kind of family business thing up in Glasgow. So I'm really excited to have a look at this. It fits loads of different rails. I'll include a link in the description below giving you a bit more information about this, because it's quite a new-ish venture for Frank. I'm saying newish, but they've just got a website up and running, and it's turning into a bit of a bigger deal because it is a gorgeous product. As I say, I will be putting it through its paces on the channel very soon, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed and watch this space. But it's supposed to be ultra accurate for attaching onto your Festool rails and your Mafel and Makita and all that sort of thing. I think it fits pretty much every rail on the market as far as I know. Don't hold us to that. But ultra accurate for doing square cuts. Thank you, Frank. I will be having a good look at this. Thank you once again to everyone who sent stuff in. If you do want to send stuff in, the address is in the About section of the channel. A couple of people mentioned that they couldn't find the About section of the channel, so I'll include the address in the description below as well, along with links to all of the products that we've talked about today. Remember as well, if you would like your sticker on the sticker door, you can send it to us and I'll pop you on a video as well, so you can be added to the infamous sticker door. I'd also like to give a really special mention to Scott and Nate over at the Essential Craftsman channel. If you're not familiar with their channel, it's a fantastic channel. Link in the description below. Get yourself subscribed on there. So much you can learn off that channel. I sent them a little care package before Christmas. Sent them a tape measure and some other bits and pieces, including a Screwfix catalogue, because I would enjoy reading a Screwfix catalogue if I'd never seen one before. Or Toolstation, or Axminster, or even Wix. Anyway, Scott and Nate are over in Oregon, on the far side of the United States, a long, long way from Newcastle. But I think this is one of the lovely things about YouTube, and I think it's one of the fantastic things about you guys out there in the YouTube community, and a lot of you have commented on my channel saying, oh, I saw you mentioned on the Essential Craftsman, and a lot of people on that channel have said, oh yeah, I follow Gosforth Handyman, and I just think it's just this lovely community of makers and builders and tradespeople and amateur woodworkers and people from all over the planet who are interested in just making things with their hands. So a big hello to Scott and Nate in Oregon, and to everyone else in Oregon and everyone else in the States and everyone else in the world, because if it wasn't for you guys watching these videos, I would just be standing here talking to a camera on my own in a workshop, going a bit crazy. And finally, neatly linking back to where we all came in, Measuring Up podcast. As you may or may not be aware, there's an article doing the rounds at the minute about how MDF is going to kill us all, and how toxic it is, and how it shouldn't be getting used for furniture. And at the minute, I am desperately trying to get to the bottom of this article and actually get hold of some facts. These sort of articles are massively damaging to the joinery industry as a whole. At the end of the day, if you're getting told that the product that you use to make stuff is dangerous and you shouldn't be using it, but yet from the health and safety executive and from EU directives and CARB 2 compliance certifications, and every certification on the planet says it is safe to use, but yet you've got headlines going out there to the general public saying it's not safe to use, it puts us as joiners in a really difficult situation. And I have to deal with the flack of customers coming to me and saying, well, can you make XYZ, but we don't want it made out of MDF, or we want it made out of zero emission MDF, which is staggeringly expensive compared to normal MDF, which is a perfectly safe product to use until I'm told otherwise. Peter Millard has made some fantastic videos all about this, one of which proved that oranges give off more formaldehyde than MDF. And we are also discussing this at length, as you may have guessed, in the first episode of season 3 of the Measuring Up podcast on Monday. So join us over there and you'll be able to hear our thoughts on the whole situation in a bit more detail. But let's try and stick to working off facts rather than hearsay and speculation, and let's try not to put an entire industry out of business. Thank you once again for watching. I shall see you next time.